Hello humans, Batsy here with another create video. This time we are going to be producing some sweet rolls. I know my hair color doesn't look the best right now. I have been trying to tweak it myself, and I made a bit of a mess of it. I would love it if someone could help me tweak out my skin. It's starting to get a bit old, but anyway. As always in this series, we are going to take a look at farms that are targeted towards the early stages of the game, and that means that the rates of the farm, and the material costs to build them will be relative to the stage they are targeted towards. All of that is obviously under my own judgment and priorities. You might have completely different requirements, and I encourage everyone to tweak the farms according to your needs. The production line starts by planting some seeds, and getting wheat out of it. Once we have that wheat, we want to use a millstone to grind it down into wheat flour. Then we going to wash up all of the flour to produce dough, which we going to cook in order to make bread. Then we want to milk a cow, and apply said milk to our bread as the last step to produce a sweet roll. It sounds like many steps, but this is how small this farm actually is. On screen you can see the material list to build this out. It all starts with a wheat field, where we going to use some harvesters to gather all the wheat we need. It spins thanks to the windmill we have attached to it, that way we don't consume any rotational power on the harvesters. While all of that power will move forward for the rest of the farm. The next step is to speed up the farm a little bit. The windmill spins at 1 RPM, and after a few stacked cogwheels, we going to run the millstone at 8 RPM. Which is still not a lot, but enough for our needs. The rest of the farm will run at 4 RPM. At this point, we want to start grinding down the wheat, but before we do that, we ideally want to remove some of the seeds we making from the fields itself. The first thing we going to do is have a portable interface to extract all of the items from the contraption. That will have a hopper underneath that will remove both the wheat and the seeds from it, but that comes with an issue. The seeds won't be able to go into the millstone, so they will eventually clog the system. To avoid that, we have another hopper underneath to extract the seeds, but we want to prevent any wheat from going there instead of the millstone. That's why we going to use a redstone contact. Whenever the contraption dumps all of the wheat and seeds into the hopper, it will lock the bottom hopper, so the only place to go is the millstone. After a few seconds, it's going to unlock again, which will let the seeds go down, while the wheat has already been dumped into the millstone. The excess seeds will go down onto a composter, which is going to very slowly convert them into bone meal. There is no need for bone meal in this farm, but that means that is going to take ages to fill up a double chest, and we honestly don't need 1,000 seeds either. You are welcome to keep the seeds if you want them. It's worth mentioning that the andesite funnel is not going to extract any of the wheat from it, it will only let through the resulting products of the millstone. Once that happens, the wheat flour will fall down into the water canal where it's going to be washed into dough, and stored in the following barrel. There is no fancy tech going on here. I simply made the canal long enough so the slow fan takes a while to push the flour forward, giving it enough time to get processed into dough. In the case that you are playing with a mod pack that changes the default config file, making the washing process take longer, you might want to adjust this portion of the farm accordingly. At this stage, we want to have a cow to get milk, which we going to store in this position with a deployer above it. I'm going to explain this portion of the farm in a lot more detail later on, during the setup explanation. And I'm going to show an alternative in case you don't want to go to the nether to make a deployer for it. For now, we just want to know this is where the milk is coming from. We going to start the last area of the production line by throwing the raw dough upwards from the barrel. That will slowly push it forward as it's being cooked into bread. Eventually, it's going to fall down into the belt, where it will move forward to get covered in milk by the spout, thus making a sweet roll. Worth noting that the bread will never continue forward if there is no milk available because the spot locks the belt in place, that's how only sweet rolls and the spare seeds will end up in the barrel. All of these seeds come from the millstone, because grinding wheat has a side chance to give even more seeds. There is no way of filtering those out unless we use a brass funnel. Which, you are welcome to use if you want. I would personally recommend using the brass funnel in here, so only dough jumps upwards, and have another funnel underneath to dump the seeds into lava. It takes a while for the seeds to become a problem, so I will simply be picking them up manually once a week and dumping them into the hopper where the rest of the seeds go. As for the rates of the farm, during a 3-hour process, it produced an average of 161 sweet rolls an hour. It's not insane, but to be fair, a couple of stacks of sweet rolls will likely last me a week. It's also easy to scale up. All you want to do is make this wheat field bigger. The rest of the farm should be able to keep up with the rates even if you triple the size of the field. I would recommend speeding the millstone further if you extend the field a lot more, especially if you notice the millstone is starting to struggle to grind all the wheat. Now let's set this up, shall we? I'm going to be calling this one, Batsy, Early, Sweet Rolls. As it usually goes, we start by placing this down in our worlds, using the cannon unless you are playing in creative. I'm going to place it one lower so part of it goes underground. I think it looks a bit better this way. The first thing we want to do is fill up this canal with water. And we also want to have a water source in the middle of the fields. I've changed the schematic to be dirt instead, this way we won't need to have silk touch to get the farmland. I think it will be more convenient because the cannon won't plant the seeds anyway. So after we added the water, we just want to use a hoe to convert it all into farmland, and plant all our seeds on it. At this point we can activate the farm, by simply right-clicking on the mechanical bearing. If it's not spinning properly, or it's leaving behind any of its components, we simply stop it and make sure everything is glued up together. The sails do not need to be glued with one another, but do make sure the rest is. Now yes, we can activate the windmill again, which should also power up the entire farm. Now we can go behind where the contraption was, and place the last seeds that we missing. The last portion is to get ourselves a cow to place in here, which I will be explaining how to make it work without a deployer too. For this, we want some random cow we can find in the wild, a few rails, and a minecart. Oh, and I almost forgot, we want some wheat too. Place a few rails that lead to the spot we want the cow to be, and ideally block the other exit with anything so the cart doesn't go away. Put down a minecart anywhere along the track we just made. Then find yourself a cow in the wild, and move it using the wheat. We want to get the cow close to the minecart. Once it's close, we need the cart to be in movement so it picks up the cow. What the hell, I'm as confused as you are, Mr. Cow. Now yes, just like that. The moving cart will pick up the nearby cow, so we just want to push it towards the farm. Once it reaches the spot, we can remove all of the other rails and blocks we used. And very important, we want to remove this rail underneath the cart. Make sure you remove the rail, and not the cart, otherwise the cow will run away. This will make sure the cow is in place, and it's also low enough to the ground for the deployer to work. If it was on top of the rail, it would be trying to hit the cart instead of the cow, and you can't milk a minecart. All it's left to do is to simply throw an empty bucket on the hopper above, which is facing the deployer. The deployer is slow and will take a bit to milk the cow, but it's more than enough to keep up with the rates. Oh, I just heard it. Yes, we can see the drain has some milk now. And the spout is slowly filling up. Perfect, that will keep the system running indefinitely. One detail I want to show is how exactly is the deployer working. Because you can see there is a hopper underneath it. By adding an empty bucket as the filter of the deployer, means that the deployer will retain any empty buckets we put on it. That means that only the buckets with milk will go down into the hopper. That is how we able to do it without a brass funnel. The hopper is facing the item drain, which will gather all the milk and spit the empty bucket forward into the hopper, where it's going to be moved back up into the system. It takes a single bucket to make it work. As for making it work without the deployer, we can pretty much remove all of it, just leaving the 2 hoppers and the drain in the middle of them. Now we can place a barrel, a chest, or any storage solution we have in those exact positions. The pump will need to be powered up, but we can freely move it around and connect it in any way we want it. That's entirely up to you how you want to do it. But do keep in mind that we can't connect it from the front. Items will get stuck here and won't be able to fall down into the belt. The nearest gearbox is here, so connect this as you please. Now all we need to do is get ourselves a bunch of buckets, milk the cow endlessly, and fill up the barrel with the milk. This will require us to check the farm every now and then to make sure there is milk left on it, but it does mean that we don't need to go to the nether to make the deployer. Every bucket can produce up to 4 sweet rolls, so it shouldn't be too bad to manually milk the cow every once in a while. One last piece of advice is that grinding the wheat will produce some seeds as a side product. We could filter those out in this barrel with a brass funnel, or simply take them every now and then and throw them on the hopper to be composted. I barely got a stack and a half after several hours of this running. I doubt it should be an issue either way. That should pretty much be it. I think I didn't miss any bugs and glitches that the schematic might cause, but if I find any, I will leave a pinned comment with all of them, just in case. Feel free to join my Discord server if you have any problems with it, or leave a comment. I will try to reply when I have the chance. I hope that this schematic proves to be useful, and that the humans learned a trick or two with this little showcase. I would love to hear what other farms would you like me doing next. Thank you so much for watching, take care everyone, and I will see you all in the next one.